is the people I have met. You are wonderful people, very friendly, and you have a very peaceful state. You are very, very blessed. You don't know. So I want to say that I'm very happy to be here. I have some professors here who are my friends at the University of Rio and then here now. And I also want to thank all of you who came from other institutions to participate in this conference. I see visions about this conference blossoming into something wonderful in future. So please keep it up. I'm talking to people who are here. Do not allow this conference to ever decline. You are lucky to have a wonderful vice chancellor who has encouraged you, and I'm sure future vice chancellors will also continue to encourage you. Now, this writers workshop, I don't know the form it will take because normally when I conduct workshops, I do it so that people can come with we maybe do PowerPoint or then people will listen and learn and participate very actively. And then I will talk about writing, different ways you can write, genres you can write. But we'll talk about a few of those things. And I will also expect that maybe when you ask questions, your questions may also call up other things I might not even say or cover the areas that I might not be able to cover. So please, if you have any questions you want to ask, please ask. Now, I want to talk a little bit about myself and writing. Everyone, especially people who are in the arts, and even some people in the sciences, is a potential writer. Every human being is a creator. You know, God who created us, our God is a creator. And he put inside us that same ability to be able to create. People are creating in many ways. The scientists are creating, you see what technology is doing, reconfiguring the world. Today, sometimes I just wonder if my grandmother were alive today, would she be, or if she were to rise up from the dead, she would be amazed at what the world has become. So the technology is changing our world, just as they are creators, inventors, and whatever you may call them. The same thing with people who are writing, and it's all kinds, all forms of writing. Whether you're writing creatively, like literature, or you are in advertising, or in journalism, all these are forms of creativity, and people are making waves in all these areas. Every one of us has a potential to create something, to start something. This is why when we're educating students, we tell them to look inwards and find what is inbuilt in them, what God has put in them, which they will use to beautify and develop their society, their community, their families, and themselves. I often tell my students, writing is one thing you can do till you're very old. You know, there are certain things you may do for a while, and when you are much older, you may no longer be able to do them, especially things that require physical energy. But writing is something you can go on and on with, even right into your old age. Remember a writer like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who died a few years ago. He was in his 90s or early late 80s. So with writing, you can go on and on and on creating, especially if the inspiration is there and you have the energy and then the mindset and also your physical health can um, help you to write much better than many others might be able to write. Look at Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka is almost 90, or is it 90 already, and he's still writing. Writers like Chinua Achebe died a few years ago, he was more than 80. Ngugi wa Thiong'o He's in his 80s and he's still writing. So those of you who have the talent or the mindset to write, please remember that you can start as early as you want and then go on till um, when you are much older. I'm in my 70s now and I'm still writing. In fact, the only problem I have so many ideas I want to write about, but the thing is time because I'm still teaching in a university. I have PhD students, undergraduate students, I'm supervisor, and then undergraduate. You know how large our undergraduate classes are? Sometimes 200, 300, and we are still teaching. Those of you who have been to the US or UK, Europe, you notice that they hardly have more than 30 or 25 or 40 in a class. There's hardly any course you can find in the US that will have more than, except the general courses. But these are courses in literature, whatever. Sometimes 25 people, sometimes even less. So they have fewer students. And you know, when you have so many students to teach, marking alone, for me, that is really the most distressing part of teaching. I don't mind standing and teaching students. I can even stand for 2 hours. I don't feel like sitting down. But when it comes to grading papers, that is the problem. Especially, I'm sorry to say, you young people here, many of you don't write as well as people of your age used to write in the past. And you know why? Because many of you are not readers. We encourage you to be readers. Once you are a reader, you have a mastery of the language. If you are reading in English, for instance, English is the language we use in Nigeria. It's a common language. But whether you're reading in your mother tongue or English language or French, you have you it gets to a stage where you have a mastery of that language. You become competent in it. And competence is about writing is about competence. You have to use the language properly. You have to use the language well. Even to write to answer questions or write essays in your courses, in your class, you need to have competence in English language. Where I am, I'm at the moment I teach at Alex Ekweme Federal University in Dufualike in Ebonyi State. One thing which I keep talking to my undergraduate students about is that many of them can't write properly. Sometimes they have the ideas, and it's because they don't read. Even sometimes when you recommend textbooks to them, they don't read these textbooks and they come to class and they listen to you, but that's not enough. You have to read the set text, so that you can participate vigorously in class when it comes to discussion. So, but we are not here talking about teaching. I want to go back to creative writing. Now, I started writing quite early. Like when I was in primary school, I am the first in my family, the first child out of 6 children. And when I was around 10, I used to write and then draw images, cartoons, and then give to my children. Sorry, my siblings to read. So that was the beginning of it because I was reading early. My father, luckily, he was an educated man, so he introduced us to books early. And because we were already fluent in our mother tongue, it was easier to become fluent in English. You see, when you have competence, you can speak your mother tongue. It's very easy to acquire another language.